and welcome. My name is Sean. Some people call me Shanto. The DJ as Shinobi. And this is a track that I've written. And I've made this track in Ableton, and that's what I'm here to show you today. But I just wanted to kind of show you that I know my way around the software a little bit and can make something out of nothing. So, if you like this tutorial today, feel free to come over here to SoundCloud and give me a like, follow me. There's also this little support tab over here where you can send me a tip. If you get anything out of this video, I would really appreciate that. It'd be super cool. Or get in touch, send me a message. It's probably the best place to contact me. If you have any particular questions about the video today, I'll also check the comments down below. Yeah, it'd be great to get in touch over here on SoundCloud. This is where I put my compositions. So feel free to link up. Alright, what we're here though to talk about, and I'll briefly kind of go over this right now as an introduction. We're here to talk about Ableton and how to build a project and how to organize the structure and hierarchy of an Ableton project. I'll go over some tools and techniques which can help you keep things organized, as well as how to sort of bake into the project imaging and tools that can really prevent mistakes later on. So before I go further, I am running on a late 2015 iMac running Monterey 12.7.6. It's Intel i7, about 16 gigabytes of RAM, and I'm running Ableton 11, so I do not have the latest version of Ableton, but it's still fully functional. Ableton's really, I think, more than what I need. There's so much going on here, and as opposed to other DAWs, I think Ableton really is an instrument in and of itself. There's a lot of different niches and sort of techniques that you can jump into here and really become fully absorbed in. And I'd say I probably only use about half of that. I don't really use Max for Live, and that's a whole nother world. But within what Ableton does offer, it's, I think, more flexible than any other DAW that I've used. So we're going to go over some ways to kind of jumpstart that or cheat code it for you. So let us I also say that I am using a solid state logic SSL12 USB audio interface. I recently switched to this from the UAD Apollo, and you'll notice I still use a lot of the UAD native plugins, but I really like this SSL12. It offers 32-bit recording, so I noticed that my vocal level there spiked, but the cool thing with 32-bit is that that can be restored, that clip, by drawing down the level on the clip. Oh, there it is again. I'll just turn it down here more. After recording, so there's so much range in 32-bit. Sounds like I need to clean my mixer. That even when you do clip, you can reduce that level, the line audio level at the end, and it won't sound bad. At least that's my understanding. Let's try it out with this video and see how it sounds. So here we are. We're in Ableton, and it's a blank project. Just to make it even blanker, I'm going to go ahead and delete all these tracks. And I'm going to delete the stock plugins on the sends. And then what I'm going to do is going to group this MIDI track. And I'm going to create essentially a number of grouped MIDI tracks, 6 groups in total, each one with a single MIDI track. And these are going to become my essentially bus tracks, so like my mixing buses. And I'll have one for kick. So I like to use multiple kicks in my tracks typically. I will usually create a sub kick, a mid-range kick, and I'll EQ out the lower frequencies. And then I'll have like a high-end kick where it's usually doing things like multiple taps, syncopated kicks, and I like to use it just on the high end. I think it helps the mix, it helps avoid some muddiness. So yeah, kick will be a whole group, and really I kind of do the same thing with snares. I love it when I have multiple different snares and claps that come in at different times, and maybe they're panned also to different sides of the spectral field. I think that really helps make a track interesting. So I'll probably have a number of snares and different claps in there. I'll also definitely have a few hi-hats. And I may even put toms in this as well, so we'll rename that as well, hi-hat and toms. So that way it takes up, I'll mix it as a full frequency range there in the mix instead of just if it was the hi-hats, it would be the upper. So if I'm doing a whole instrument, instrument bus there, I might as well make it as dynamic as possible. So that's also one of the things I'm trying to show here is how you can organize and arrange things to avoid CPU spikes, so that you can have a lot of things going on in your projects. And I am not running the latest Mac. This is almost 10 years old now. Yeah, it's 10 years old. So definitely not the most powerful computer, but I can fit a lot into my projects I've found if I organize things this way. So after hi-hat and toms, I've been doing an aim and break sample, and I think that's a good thing to go over. How to incorporate samples, and then how to even possibly take those samples and turn them into drum machine tracks. Ableton gives you some really cool tools for that. So we'll have that, and then we'll just do, let's see, I'll do one more. So Command D on a Mac is duplicate. So that's a really good keyboard shortcut. And after the aim and break, I'm going to do a bass line, and then we'll do synths. So now that's going to be our basic instrumentation of the track. We'll go through and just recolor these. Very spring colors. Ooh, don't like green. Green's just not nice to look at. Okay. Unless it's dark green, like forest green. But lime green in a project, not really what I'm looking for. Okay, so that's It's nice to just have things organized. It can help later on while you're scanning tracks quickly. You know where things are. You'll intuitively kind of remember what each one is after a while. Who knows? Maybe there's even a subliminal influence. I haven't gotten there yet. Okay, so now we've got our instrument groups, and they're organized, they're color coded, and they're named. So that's the first level of hierarchy. The next level, I'm going to be making a mix down. So this is going to be the mix bus. And I'm also going to master. So I'm going to make another group. And that's going to be a master bus. Okay. That's our second level of hierarchy. Though we're missing a few things here. At least we're missing one thing. And that one thing is going to be within the mix bus. Because if you look at everything right now, everything is running into, now it is, into the mix bus except for these sends. But I want those to be part of the mix down. So that's what this audio track is here that I just created. And I'm going to rename that as a return. So these are actually going to be sent to the return track. So that the sends, and I usually put on here some parallel compression and numerous different reverbs. Sometimes delay, chorus. Filters I'll usually leave on like group buses or in, group tracks above the instrument level. But for more time-based things that I want to be able to dial in very carefully, I'll usually stick the effects over here, or for parallel compression, which is really essential for dance music. You'll want to probably send that over to a send, and then in order to have that come back into your mix, I like to create an audio return here within my main instrument grouping, so that I can then send it to the mix bus and then send that to the master, and then everything comes out as one complete whole. But in order to avoid some pitfalls here, I'm going to turn off the audio input, and so that avoids or prevents the audio from my audio interface being sent to that track. And I'm going to turn on the monitor, so now I can listen from these sends. And if I hadn't turned off that track, you now hear my voice coming through that track. The other thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to turn off the sends, so I'd avoid a feedback loop. And Ableton would automatically delay the signal a few milliseconds in order to prevent that feedback loop, but that would also render the track useless, and it would actually really distract. So I'm also going to disable the sends on any track above that level. So that return is sending into the mix track, so I have to then disable the sends there. That mix track is then sending into the master, so I have to disable the sends there. So I can't actually do any sends that return through that return track. If I wanted to do like a perhaps a mastering delay, I could make another send and just have it send to the master, and that wouldn't create a feedback loop. But I tend to avoid that. It's not really part of my process yet. So this is where we're at. So this is kind of, I think, part of the unique things of the way I've set it up. Took me a little while to figure this all out. Lots of forum diving and troubleshooting. Took me forever to figure out that you just have to right click here and do disable sends to get rid of that feedback loop delay. So yeah, this is next step. And the last step of the basic hierarchy is going to be adding a sidechain trigger. And I already have a sidechain trigger made, but I'll show you how I made it. And I'm going to stick that outside of the master and the mix. It saves CPU. If I put it within the master and the mix, it would have to be processed by all those plugins. Even if I mute it, it would still process it and then mute it. So I have found through trial and error that putting it outside of those group buses really does save CPU. And then you can just go ahead and disable the sends here and also turn that track off because it's just a trigger. I'm only going to be latching mostly compressors to it, but you could do other things like filters that have a sidechain function to it. And then I just use a 4 to the floor pattern here, and I have at times used 16th notes for something where I'm trying to get more of a LFO effect on like a synth, and I want to sidechain that in. That you can do that with some synths, and that's a lot of fun. You can really do a lot of different patterns. You can even, you could throw swing on it, and that'll all come through on the other end when you then chain that to an effect. So this is just a trigger, but you can see there is that audio signal available. And then the way I made this was I went to Ableton Instruments, Operator, Components, Sine Waveforms. And then once you have sine waveforms in here, you can turn down the decay and turn down the release all the way. There might be a few other changes I've made here, not too much though. Those are the main things. And that just gives you a very clear low sine wave. And I'll also point out that you want to make sure that the pitch here is the key that you're going to be in. So I'm going to turn this to the key of C. And that will also be important later when doing the sidechain, at least for the Ableton compressor. It gives you the ability to set a frequency with the filter. I like to pitch that as well. And I think that really helps create a glue to the track, and it helps the low end harmonize with itself. It gives a little bit more impact and air to the effect. So now we have what I would consider the starting point for where I would begin possibly, jumping in and making music. So I'm going to end this video here, and I'll come back with a few more videos from this project. Things I'm going to show you are, I'm going to show you my mastering chain, I'll show you my mixing chain, and then I will show you some of my returns. One of them will be my sidechain compression, my parallel compression for kicks primarily, but I also send my snares and bass in smaller amounts to it, so that that really helps beef up the low end. And then some of my reverbs as well. And I'll explain why I use them and what VSTs I use. So thank you for watching. I hope you guys got something out of this. I'll just go over it real quick, just the basic architecture. It's the master with the sidechain trigger, the mix underneath that. You got the instrument tracks. Within each, instrument bus. Within each instrument bus is a MIDI track that you can put a VST on. You could also put an audio track in there and do a sample if you want. And the reason I do all this is to help it stay organized, so it all runs through one final master track that has effects on it, and then I can leave the actual master track clean which helps avoid CPU spike. So yeah, that's about it. Hope that makes sense. Let me know if you have any questions down below. Sean, Shanto, Shinobi, have a good day, guys. Thanks.